Okay, let's talk about tinnitus ototoxicity medicines, because there are a lot of medicines that people are saying they're ototoxic and they're not. Okay, I'm going to break this down. Watch this video all the way through and here's why I'm telling you that. Because you need to understand what is actually ototoxic, and one little aspirin is not ototoxic. Okay, if you take a bunch of aspirin, it can linked to ringing in the ears, but by that time you're taking so many it's not even healthy. But no, taking one aspirin, okay, a couple of aspirin here and there is not ototoxic. Okay, but if you take too much aspirin, it can kill you. So I don't recommend taking 14 aspirin. That'll be the last headache you ever have. Okay, so let's dive in. What is ototoxic and what isn't? Okay, so there's basically a rule of thumb that I tell my clients when it comes to ototoxicity. There are drugs that are ototoxic. Certain chemotherapy drugs are ototoxic. Certain antibiotics. They're very heavy antibiotics. So like gram-negative type antibiotics, stuff that you would probably, most people would never take, and they would tell you the side effects beforehand. They would say this antibiotic is ototoxic and it could damage your auditory system. Okay. SSRIs are not ototoxic. If they don't damage your auditory system, then they're not ototoxic. So hydroxyzine is not ototoxic. Benadryl, not ototoxic. The majority of drugs are not ototoxic. Weed, not ototoxic. People say, I smoked a joint, now I have tinnitus. It probably triggered your awareness of the tinnitus. It probably was already there. You weren't aware of it. You smoked a joint and then had some abstract thought, and oh my God, I hear the ringing. It's not that the joint damaged your ear. That's insane. Okay, so the reason we have to understand this is because so many people there's like a drug list of like 1,000 different drugs, and they're like, this drug's ototoxic, this drug's ototoxic, this drug's ototoxic, and it's just not true. Okay, the drugs that are ototoxic are ones that we have scientific medical research that point to that drug actually physically harming your inner ear. That is inner ear. That is something we consider ototoxic. If there is not documented literature that's saying this thing is damaging your ear, it's not ototoxic. It doesn't matter if somebody out there took it and said, now I have ringing. Does the drug damage your inner ear? Is there evidence of that? Is there scientific research of the drug damaging your inner ear? If it's not, then it's not considered ototoxic. So the reason why this is so important is because so many people are out there avoiding so many different things. They won't take an aspirin, or if they have to take a headache, or if they don't want to take an Advil, or this or that. And I'm holistic myself. I advocate for as much holistic treatment as possible, but in the same sense, I'm not living my life in fear of tinnitus either. So I think it's marrying the two. I am for limited medical intervention. It doesn't mean I've never taken a vaccine. I've taken the rabies shot. I've taken a rabies booster. I live in a country where rabies is endemic. If I need a treatment, I'll take a treatment. If I need a cavity, I'll get a cavity filled. If I need Novocaine, I'll get Novocaine, and I'll get my tooth drawn. So I'm for the medical treatment that I need. Okay, but I'm not completely against it. And I'm also not living my life in fear as well. So if I had to take something, I wouldn't be thinking, is this going to damage my auditory system? Unless it was actually, and this is what I want to get to, unless the doctor said this antibiotic is ototoxic and it can damage your inner ear. Then I would say, ask the doctor, is there another antibiotic that isn't ototoxic? Is it not a fluoroquinoline? I don't want to take a fluoroquinoline. Those are black box labels. They can link to being floxed. So I would try and opt away from a fluoroquinoline, and I would try and opt away from an antibiotic that has serious side effects and that can damage my inner ears. And I would have that conversation with my doctor. And if they said, and if I was ever in a situation where they said, no, you have something that's crazy like the bubonic plague or something, and you have to take this drug, and it probably will damage your inner ear, well, then I would take it, because, bubonic plague is way worse than tinnitus because it could kill you. But in those situations, I would have to take the situation on a case-by-case basis. But I wouldn't live my life in fear, because the majority of drugs people are freaked out about aren't actually ototoxic. So have that conversation with your doctor, do the research yourself, read the literature yourself, but don't live your life in fear. And by all means, research does not mean going to comments on Google forums, Facebook forums or Reddit forums and reading if someone, because people will report anything causing tinnitus, okay? Because people are in a really freaked out state when you get on those forums. So don't just take what they say with a grain of salt, okay? Get your content from places like this that are grounded and rooted in science. So anyway, if you want to figure out how to be recovered from tinnitus, cured, habituated, whatever term you want to say, I put together a free training, link in the description, or just head on over to tinnitus.health, type that into any web browser, or I'll put a pinned comment below, whatever. You can watch the free training, and there's a bunch of free stuff that I give away if you get through the training. I got a free tinnitus survivor kit, a free tinnitus profile test, whatever you need, I got it. But anyway, yeah, I would love to see you in the free training. Until next time, make sure to smash the subscribe button. Share this video with as many people as you can who need to recover from tinnitus. It does help the algorithm, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.